Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good day today. I got a little bit bored, so I decided to play some more Festival of the Blades. We'll see how that runs out. We're on episode 5 now. As for shoutouts, ChatGPT 4.0 is what I'm using as the DM, and I'm using D&D Beyond to show my character sheet. There won't be any maps, just there will be right back screen. So if y'all are ready, we're ready to get in with the summary of what happened in the last episode. So here we go.
Here's your summary for Episode 4, The Ember in the Arena. Episode 4 Summary, The Ember in the Arena. After awakening at the Rose and Raven Inn, Simon answered a mysterious knock at his door and received a cryptic message sealed with the three-eyed raven, the symbol tied to the forgotten flame of Valharen. Seeking answers, Simon visited the Temple of the Six Flames, where a silver-eyed priest revealed that Valharen was once the seventh flame, the embodiment of memory and conviction, betrayed and erased by the other elemental forces. Simon learned that Valharen doesn't demand worship, only conviction. Later, at the mirror pool at sundown, Simon met Kalara, a masked emissary of Valharen. Through a vision, Simon encountered Valharen himself, a figure of burning shadow and broken crowns. Offered a choice, Simon accepted the Ember, binding himself to the boon of the seventh Ember, gaining new strength linked to memory and will. Returning to the Rose and Raven Inn, Simon reflected on his transformation and crossed paths with Tevrin, a traveling sellsword who warned that the true cost of carrying forgotten power is yet to come. The next morning, Simon faced his next opponent, Sir Caldus Vane, the Pale Blade of Duskwatch, an emotionless duelist who wielded a memory-cursed sword. Armed with new tactics, Simon feinted and moved unpredictably, forcing Caldus off balance. Despite taking heavy hits and briefly reliving painful memories under Caldus's blade, Simon struck back with twin scimitar blows and a devastating casting of Toll the Dead. Shaken by the force of memory and Simon's relentless assault, Caldus surrendered, granting Simon a hard-won victory. Simon was awarded 150 gold pieces for his win, bringing his total to 314 GP. With the festival heating up, Simon used his earnings to purchase the Wand of the Unseen Step, allowing him to turn invisible during future duels. At the close of the day, Simon learned his next opponent would be Lady Marilyn Duskthorn, the Thorn Knight of Erothis, known for her brutal and theatrical fighting style. Simon ended the night resting, his fire growing stronger, and his name beginning to ripple through Verelion like a coming storm. Key gains: Boon of the Seventh Ember, Dormant, once per long rest, reroll a failed save or attack when fighting with conviction. Ember of Memory, Awakened. Once per long rest, after a killing blow or mental triumph, regain a spell slot and frighten nearby foes. Wand of the Unseen Step. 3 charges of invisibility, bonus action. Plus 1 in 50 gold pieces, current total 314. Ready to set the world on fire in episode 5. Thorns and Memory whenever you are. Would you also like a short recap intro paragraph ready to open episode 5 if you want it later? It's like a quick cinematic previously on. Opening.
Okay. Boon of the seventh ember. Okay, so we've got the boon of the seventh ember, ember of memory. Okay, wand of the unseen step. Okay, and it said my gold should be 314 GP. 315 plus 114. 314. 314 minus 314, 114, 200. Okay. Now, just for the hell of it, yes, I would like a recap intro paragraph, and we can start from there.
Perfect. Here's your recap intro paragraph to open episode 5. Previously, in Festival of the Blades, in the shadowed streets of Virillion, Simon, marked by the forgotten flame of Valherin, claimed a place among the champions of the festival. Bearing fire in his blood and memory in his bones, he shattered the cold precision of Sir Caldus Vane, forcing the Pale Blade to yield. Now armed with steel, sorcery, and the unseen step of the ancients, Simon stands on the edge of the quarterfinals, where new legends are forged and thorns wait to draw blood. The next challenger rises, Lady Marilyn Duskthorn, the Thorn Knight. The crowd hungers for spectacle, the flames hunger for truth, Simon hungers for victory. Episode 5, Thorns and Memory, begins. Morning light cuts across the city like blades drawn from the heavens. You awaken at the Rose and Raven, rested, the distant sound of festival horns calling duelists and spectators alike to the Grand Plaza. Today is the quarterfinals. The field has narrowed and the fights grow bloodier. A runner arrives at your door with a fresh scroll. To Simon of the Ember, you are summoned to Arena 1. Your match will begin at the second bell. Opponent, Lady Marilyn Duskthorn, Thorn Knight of Erithus. You have time to eat breakfast, visit a vendor, prepare spells or gear, seek more information about Lady Marilyn, spar lightly, or head directly to the arena. What does Simon do first on the morning of the quarterfinals?
First, Simon will eat a hearty breakfast. Then he will seek out more information about Lady Maryland.
A hearty start to a thorny day. You head downstairs to the Rose and Raven's common room, where Marza, the innkeeper, already has plates lined up for the duelists staying under her roof. She smiles knowingly as you approach. Big match today. You'll need more than pride to keep you on your feet. She sets down a plate piled with thick cut bacon, buttered eggs, fried tomatoes and onions, dense oatcakes with dark syrup, and a strong mug of black tea that smells like it could punch through a stone wall. You eat slowly but fully, feeling strength flood your muscles again. The last day's bruises seem a little easier to bear now. Seeking intel, Lady Marilyn Duskthorn. After breakfast, you slip back toward Arksteel Row, where information moves faster than steel. You find Telren the Thin again, the old scribe and gossip keeper you spoke with before your last match. He sits cross-legged under a crooked awning, sipping something dangerously green. When you mention Marilyn's name, his eyebrows rise. The Thorn Knight, eh? Better men than you have bled under her spear, but worse men have fallen for her smile. He chuckles dryly and leans in. Lady Marilyn Duskthorn, profile. Fighting style, aggressive reach fighter. Uses a blackthorn spear tipped with living magic. Her strikes have reach 10 feet, and she's deadly when keeping opponents at a distance. Vines and thorns respond to her will. She can entangle, restrain, or even drain life if you're not careful. Known for taunting opponents into reckless charges. Tactics. Opens by probing defenses with quick jabs. Once you commit, she tries to lock you down with thorny vines. She's less effective if her footing is disrupted or if she's forced into close quarters brawling. Weaknesses. Vulnerable to sudden pressure. If you break inside her spear's reach quickly, she loses her advantage. Bad against ranged magic. Spells that disrupt terrain or restrain her cause major problems. Has a bit of an ego. Insults or mind games can throw her timing off. Telren chuckles as he finishes. You're a smarter fighter than most I've seen in years. Don't let her vines find you standing still. He taps his head. And remember, thorns only wound when you rush in blind. If you must rush, make her feel it. You've got a little time before the second bell. Would you like to prepare any spells or tricks specifically for Marilyn? Visit a vendor one last time? Mentally prepare or do a final warm up? Head straight to Arena 1. What's Simon's next move before the quarterfinals begin?
Simon will go to a practice area of the arena to mentally prepare and do one final warm up. He's expecting to cast invisibility from his amulet during the start of the fight.
Hatch Practice Grounds. Calm before the storm. Arena 1's practice area is a wide open courtyard ringed by pillars and statues of past champions. A few other duelists move through their warm ups, blades flashing in the morning sun, but they leave you space, sensing the weight you now carry. You take it slow. Light footwork drills, drawing and sheathing your scimitars with sharp efficiency. Breathing exercises, in through the scar, out through the fire. You focus not just your body, but your mind. No panic, no waste. Strike when the Thorn Knight thinks you're gone. Your plan. Simon readies himself to activate the Wand of the Unseen Step at the beginning of the fight, using it to disrupt Marilyn's reach advantage and force her into close quarters where her spear is less effective. Good strategy. Her vines need to see or sense you to lock you down. Her spear relies on reach, and invisibility will make her hesitate or waste attacks. The second bell is minutes away. The steward approaches you, armored in tournament, flares and bow slightly. Simon of the Ember, you are called. Enter Arena 1 at your mark. The doors creak open. The crowd is larger than any you've seen so far. Nobles in their private balconies, gamblers waving tickets, the city's sons and daughters chanting for blood and glory. The sand is freshly raked. The banners overhead snap in the rising breeze. And across the arena stands your opponent, Lady Marilyn Duskthorn, the Thorn Knight. She is striking. A tall woman in dark half-plate, wrapped in living green vines that coil up her arms and through the black metal of her armor. Her spear is blackthorn wood, dark and gnarled, with a crimson-tipped blade that seems to drip blood even in the sunlight. She smiles as she twirls the spear once in a casual spin. Another lamb to the thorns. Come then, Flamebearer. Let's see if you're worthy of the bleeding. The judge raises his hand. Combatants, ready your arms. The crowd roars. Begin on 3. Simon's hand brushes the wand of the unseen step. The magic thrums under your fingertips. 1, 2, 3. Begin. Would you like to use the wand immediately to cast invisibility? Bonus action. Move first without using it yet. Cast another spell or take another action before revealing yourself. How does Simon open the quarterfinal match?
Simon will use his bonus action to cast invisibility and then rush his full movement towards what's her name? Dustthorn.
Ha! Vanish and strike. The ember disappears. As the judge's voice fades, begin. You immediately thumb the wand of the unseen step. The world around you seems to shift. Your body shimmers, light bends around you, and then you vanish. Invisibility takes hold. Gasps ripple through the crowd. You hear mutters from the noble balconies. This was not what they expected from a simple blade. Lady Marilyn's smile flickers for just a second. Her vines twist and twitch anxiously, sensing something is wrong, but not knowing where the danger lies. You use your full movement to rush toward her, completely silent and unseen. Because you drank speed root yesterday, but not today, your normal movement speed applies, likely 30 feet unless modified, which means you close much of the gap in a heartbeat. Marilyn adjusts her stance defensively, but stays where she is, spear spinning in lazy circles in front of her, waiting, trying to bait you into striking first and revealing yourself. She can't see you. She knows you're close, but not close enough to reach her yet. Here's the situation now. Simon is invisible. Simon is about 10 to 15 feet away from Lady Marilyn, close to melee range. Invisibility will break the moment you attack or cast another spell. Options for next turn. Rush the last few feet and attack. You'll have advantage on your attack roll because you're invisible. Wait and ready an attack for when she moves toward you. Cast a spell while still invisible, breaking invisibility but catching her off guard. Try something else. Trip her, steal her footing, grapple, etc. What does Simon do next?
Simon will rush the remaining distance between him and Maryland, and then attack with his two scimitars.
Hush! The invisible assault, the Thorn Knight's first real test. Simon surges forward, crossing the last few feet like a living shadow. The moment you step into melee range, the invisibility shatters like breaking glass around you, but only as your scimitars are already swinging. Lady Marilyn's eyes. Too late. Roll to hit. You get advantage on both scimitar attacks because you were invisible when you initiated the attack. Please roll 2d20s for the first scimitar attack. Pick the higher roll plus modifiers. 2d20s for the second scimitar attack. Pick the higher roll, modifiers. And remember your proficiency and dexterity bonuses. Let's see if Simon carves through the Thorn Knight's defenses.
Simon rolls a 21 to hit with his first scimitar, and a 23 for the second roll.
Two blades, two hits. The Thorn Knight bleeds. Both of Simon's scimitar strikes hit cleanly. The first blade flashes through a gap in Marilyn's twisting vines, scoring a deep cut across her upper thigh. Before she can react, the second scimitar carves upward along her ribs, slicing through leather and vine alike. She stumbles, a flash of genuine pain across her face, and something else. Shock. You struck faster, harder, and smarter than she expected. The crowd erupts at the double hit. Half roll damage. First scimitar, roll 1d6 plus dexterity modifier. Second scimitar, roll 1d6, or 1d6 plus dex if you have two weapon fighting style. Once you roll the damage, I'll tell you just how much you've rocked Lady Duskthorn's world and what she does in retaliation.
Five and five. Simon rolls a total of 10 points of slashing damage.
Ten points of slashing damage. Blood and vines. Blood and vines. Your blades land true, 10 clean points of damage, but more importantly, they tear through the illusion of invulnerability that Lady Marilyn carries like a crown. She reels back, one hand clenching her spear, the other pressed to her ribs, where your second strike cut through both armor and thorn. The vines coil tighter around her arm as if in pain. Cute trick, she hisses. Let's see how you bleed. Lady Marilyn's turn. Thornlash counter. She plants her spear with a brutal stab, and the vines on her armor explode outward, trying to wrap around your legs and torso. She uses Thornlash Bind. You must make a dexterity saving throw DC 14 to avoid being restrained by the vines. If you succeed, you dodge the brambles and stay mobile. If you fail, you are restrained until the end of your next turn, and she gets advantage on her melee strikes against you.
DC saving throw.
Go ahead and roll your dexterity saving throw and tell me the result. Let's see if Simon stays on the move or gets caught in the thorns.
Simon rolled a 9 for his saving throw.
Caught in the thorn snare. The vines lash upward with unnatural speed, coiling around your legs, your arms, tightening with the strength of a living trap. You struggle, but the brambles dig deep, pinning you in place. Simon is now restrained. Speed becomes 0. Attack rolls against you have advantage. Your own attack rolls have disadvantage. Dexterity saving throws are made with disadvantage. You'll be restrained until the end of your next turn, unless you break free early by spending an action. Lady Merlin, blood on her lips, her spear twitching toward you like a viper. Now, little flame, let's see if you can dance without your feet. She steps forward, poised to drive the blackthorn spear into your side, but she has to wait for her next turn to make the strike. You have the next move. Simon's current situation, restrained, for now. Lady Marilyn is within melee range, 10 feet with her spear, but she's moving closer. You still have your action, bonus action, and reaction this turn. The crowd is leaning in, roaring for more blood. Options. Use an action to try to escape the restraint. Strength or dexterity check, DC 14. Attack anyway, with disadvantage, and try to damage her even while entangled. Cast a spell. You can still cast spells that don't require movement. Use a bonus action trick, if available. Ready a defensive action for her attack. What does Simon do next?
I'll take a look see here. Scimitar, shotgun, firebolt, shield touch, sneak attack, unarmed strike, opportunity attack, interact front familiar action surge. Two weapon fighting, second wind, opportunity attack. Simon will attempt to free himself from the vines.
Breaking the thorn's grasp. Simon grits his teeth, feeling the thorns dig deeper, but the fire inside him refuses to yield. You focus all your strength, bracing your muscles against the crushing vines, and attempt to tear free. Roll either strength check or dexterity check, whichever you prefer for Simon. DC is 14. Roll and let me know the result. Let's see if you break free and reclaim the fight.
Strength check or dexterity check? Strength check. 14. I rolled a 14.
Simon breaks free. With a snarl of effort, you wrench yourself free from the bramble's grip. The vines snap and recoil, writhing across the sand like severed snakes before shriveling away. Lady Marilyn's eyes flash with frustration as she realizes her moment of advantage is gone. The crowd roars at the sudden reversal, bloodthirsty and ecstatic. That's it, Simon! Break her thorns. Status update. You are no longer restrained. You still have your movement, 30 feet, and bonus action if you wish to use them this turn. Lady Marilyn is still within melee striking distance. She closed in slightly when she activated her vines. Options right now. Stay close and prepare for melee. Use bonus action to reposition, disengage, dash, etc. Taunt her to draw her into a mistake. Use something from your inventory, like the smoke pellet. Prepare for a counterattack. What does Simon do next now that he's free?
Simon will taunt her while attacking her with one of his scimitars.
Blade and bait. Simon strikes back. You lunge forward, scimitar flashing toward Lady Marilyn, and at the same time, you let your words cut as deep as your blade. All thorns, no spine. You'll bleed just like every other pretender. The insult hits hard. Her face tightens with rage, the vines on her armor spasming slightly, responding to her anger rather than her control. You see it. You struck a nerve. She's emotional now. Less calculating, more reckless. Perfect. Roll your scimitar attack. Rolled suck-shocked 1d20 plus your attack bonuses. No disadvantage, you broke free of the vines. Let's see if your taunt and slash combo draws real blood. Go ahead and roll and tell me the result.
Simon rolled a 23.
A perfect hit. The Thorn Knight stumbles. Your scimitar slashes forward, swift and brutal. The blow lands cleanly, cutting through a coil of her living vines and biting into the weak point between her breastplate and shoulder. Dark blood, thicker than normal, spurts across the sand as she grits her teeth in pain. The crowd explodes with wild cheers. Lady Marilyn staggers back a step, her breathing heavier now. The thorny armor twitches uncontrollably, as if sensing her slipping control. You can see it. Her calm veneer is shattered. She's fighting angry now. Roll damage. 1d6 plus your dexterity modifier for your scimitar attack. Let's see how badly you've carved into her defenses.
Simon rolled a 5 for damage.
Half 5 more points of slashing damage. Your scimitar rips through the gap in Lady Marilyn's armor, drawing a deep, nasty gash along her shoulder. She jerks back, spear lowering reflexively to defend, but you see the truth. Her vines aren't reacting as fast anymore. Her stance is loose. Her armor is leaking both blood and magic. You've shaken the Thorn Knight. The crowd feels it, roaring louder, chanting your name, stamping their feet, the entire arena starting to lean toward your momentum. Marilyn wipes the blood from her mouth with the back of her gauntlet and snarls. You want to see thorns, little Ember? I'll bury you in them. Situation update. Lady Marilyn is wounded and furious. She's losing composure, likely to start overcommitting soon. Simon still has full movement if you want to reposition and reactions ready. Next, Lady Marilyn's turn. Lady Marilyn's action. Instead of carefully jabbing, she charges, thrusting her spear forward with wild, aggressive force, trying to overpower you. She attacks twice with her Blackthorn Spear 15. Second attack roll, 18. Your AC is 15. So the first one hits and the second one also hits. Damage incoming. Rolling for both strikes. First hit, 7 piercing damage. Second hit, flash 5 piercing damage. Total, 12 points of piercing damage. The spear bites deep, the blackthorn wood raking across your armor and skin, trying to entangle, but you manage to twist away from the worst of it. You're still standing strong, though battered. It's Simon's turn again. Lady Marilyn is close, aggressive, bleeding, and no longer in control. You have your full action, bonus action, and movement. How does Simon strike back? Attack? Cast maneuver, use inventory, or something else?
12 points of damage. There we go. Do I have any skull potion of fire resistance? Also, the range of bone or potion of healing. As a bonus action, Simon takes a potion of healing and will then make 2 attacks with his scimitars, saying the name Valharan as I attack.
Hash, drink deep, then bring the flame. The spear strikes left you bloodied, but not broken. With a practiced flick, Simon uncorks a healing potion from his belt and downs it mid-battle, the potion burning sweet and hot down his throat. Your wounds knit just slightly, enough to steady your footing, enough to ready your blades for what comes next. Potion of healing roll. Roll that 2d4 plus 2 and tell me the total. You'll regain that much HP immediately. We'll lock that in and then move to your attacks. Simon's attack. You roll your shoulders once. You stare into Lady Marilyn's furious, desperate eyes. And as you strike, your voice is low but unshakable. Valharan. The crowd doesn't understand, but the world does. The fire inside you surges. Roll to hit. Scimitar attacks. Roll 2 attack rolls. 1 for each scimitar. Add your proficiency and dexterity modifier as usual. Tell me both attack totals and the potion healing roll, and we'll see how this moment of fury lands.
Okay. Potion of healing. And 2 scimitar. $17 and 14. Simon gets 10 HP from the potion, and his first attack roll is 17, and the second attack roll is 14.
Healing Surge and Twin Blades Strike. Healing, Simon regains 10 hit points from the potion, enough to steady your breathing. The sting of Lady Marilyn's spear fading under the burning rush of life restored. You lunge forward, scimitars flashing in both hands. Attack results. First attack, teen, hits. Second attack, 14, misses. She twists just out of reach, the blackthorn vines shielding her at the last moment. One solid hit lands. You catch her across the torso, slicing through battered vine and cracked armor. The blow spins her slightly, a spray of blood marking the sand between you. The crowd roars again, louder than ever. Roll damage. Roll 1d6 plus your dexterity modifier for your first successful scimitar strike. Tell me the total, and we'll see how close Lady Marilyn is to falling before the Ember's blade.
Okay. Simon does 9 points of damage to Lady Marilyn. Mm.
9 points of slashing damage. The Thorn Knight falters. Your scimitar bites deep, carving across Lady Marilyn's side. Blood sprays across the arena floor. Her vines, once lively and snapping, now hang limp and shredded around her armor. Her knees buckle. Her grip slackens on the blackthorn spear. The entire arena leans forward, sensing the collapse. Marilyn stumbles backward 2 steps, barely able to keep her weapon raised. Her face twists in a grimace, not of hatred now, but of fear. For the first time this fight, she knows she's about to lose. The judge, watching carefully from the sideline, raises a hand slightly, ready to step in if Marilyn cannot continue. Situation update. Lady Marilyn is critically wounded. She has one last desperate move, or she'll be forced to surrender. Simon stands tall, bloodied but burning. Lady Marilyn's desperate move. With a ragged cry, she lunges in a wild, reckless thrust with her blackthorn spear. No technique, just raw survival instinct. She attacks once, throwing everything into the blow. Rolling. Attack roll 12. Miss. You sidestep smoothly, her spear driving into the sand where you stood a moment before. The crowd erupts at her failure. It's Simon's turn. Marilyn is wide open. She is barely standing. One clean strike could end this. How does Simon finish the duel? Describe your attack or your final move, and we'll see how this legendary match closes.
Simon will swing one scimitar to do slashing damage, but will use the butt of his hilt to try to knock the lady out.
Have mercy forged in fire, the final blow. The crowd is screaming for blood. Lady Marilyn stands before you, heaving, weapon lowered, body wrapped in broken vines and dripping crimson onto the arena sand. But Simon doesn't raise his blade to kill. Instead, you step in sharply, pivoting the scimitar in your hand, blade reversed, and slam the butt of your hilt squarely into her temple. There's a gasp from the crowd, then a sharp crack of metal on flesh. Marilyn's eyes widen, then glaze. Her body collapses in the sand without another word. The blackthorn spear clatters beside her, abandoned. Victory. Simon of the Ember. The judge immediately steps forward, raising a white handkerchief into the air. By the rules of the festival, this duel is ended. Victory to Simon of the Ember. The arena erupts into wild cheers, horns blaring, drums pounding. Above it all, banners of crimson and gold. Your colors are unfurled from the balconies. You didn't just win, you made a statement. Rewards: advancement to the semifinals, earned 200 gold pieces for victory and crowd favor. Potential new reputation: the Ember of Mercy whispered among the festival crowds. Simon's new gold total: previous 114 GP plus 200 GP winnings equals 314 GP total. Lady Marilyn is already being lifted onto a stretcher by healers. She'll survive, and she'll remember your mercy or resent it. As the noise washes over you, you feel a faint pulse in your marked hand, the ember deep within whispering. Strength without cruelty, memory without regret, flame without destruction. Good. And end of episode 5. Thorns and Memory. Simon now stands among the final champions. Tomorrow, the semifinals. New opponents, new dangers, and the ember burns hotter than ever. Would you like a summary of episode 5 to close it out? Or are you ready to immediately roll into the next phase, the semifinals?
I'm ready to roll into the semifinals. Let's make sure I've got 314 gold. We'll just leave it at 314 and not worry about it. Let's continue with the game for now.
Perfect. Simon is riding the fire forward. Later that day, Verelian's Champions Pavilion. After the match, you're led, still dusted in blood and sand, to a private pavilion reserved for quarterfinal winners. Here, the remaining fighters gather under silk canopies and stone statues of past victors. Guards watch the entrances. Servants circulate with wine, water, and clean linens. Bards sing low ballads of battles past. There are only 4 champions left now. You spot them. A towering dragonborn with silver scales and brutal fists wrapped in iron. A slim, sharp-eyed woman in blue robes, the weave of magic heavy around her. A masked duelist in dark leather, standing utterly still, sword sheathed but humming faintly. And Simon, you are part of the final 4. A herald, clad in gold-trimmed black, steps forward and unrolls a scroll of matchups. His voice rings out across the pavilion. By lot and by honor, the semi-final duels shall be as follows. Semi-final 1, Cervanos the Silver Fist versus Lady Solara, Weaver of Storms. Semi-final 2, Simon of the Ember versus the Shade of Nocturne. Your next opponent, the Shade of Nocturne. You glance at the dark figure, the masked duelist. Even across the room, you can feel it. No warmth, no arrogance, no fury. Just focus. The Shade tilts their head ever so slightly in your direction. A subtle acknowledgement. Or perhaps a threat. No one knows much about the Shade. Rumors say they fought and killed their way out of the Nocturne underworld to compete. Uses illusions to mislead opponents. Wields a single sword, rumored to drink the light itself from a room when drawn fully. Deadly. silent. The perfect match for the fire that refuses to be extinguished. The herald bows and steps away. You have the rest of the day to rest, train, seek out information about the shade, buy or prepare any last gear, or plan a strategy for tomorrow's semifinal duel. What does Simon do next?
Simon will seek out information about the shade.
Hash. Seeking secrets, knowledge of the shade. The pavilion is full of murmured conversations. Nobles placing secret bets, old warriors sizing up the remaining champions. Most people shy away from speaking about the shade of Nocturne, but Simon knows how to listen for whispers, not just words. You move through the shaded corners of the pavilion and the nearby festival streets, asking carefully, watching faces. Eventually, you find a few broken truths stitched together into something real. What you learn about the shade. Origin. The shade comes from Nocturne, a city beneath a city, an underground warren of assassins, lost children, and forgotten souls. No one knows their real name. They have been trained from a young age in dueling, deception, and darkness. Fighting style. Illusions. The shade uses minor magic, more tricks than true spells, to create shadows of themselves, confusing opponents about which is real. Shadow Step. Rumored to teleport short distances within dim light or darkness. Light Drinker Blade. Their sword is enchanted. When fully drawn and activated, it siphons light from a 10-foot radius, dimming the battlefield and making it harder for opponents to see. Tactics. Disorients opponents first with illusions. Strikes fast and clean once the enemy is confused or off balance. Avoids direct confrontation until the perfect opening appears. Weaknesses. Hates direct, sustained pressure. Aggression forces the shade spend their resources quickly. Magic that reveals invisibility or illusions, such as fairy fire or magical senses, can break their tricks. Bright light sources weaken some of their shadow tactics. Emotionally detached, taunts or appeals likely won't rattle them easily. One old fighter, half drunk but still sharp, leans close and mutters, "Don't chase the ghosts. Stand your ground. Make the shade come to you." Simon's intel summary. Expect illusions and mobility. The shade will try to confuse and then assassinate you. Holding your position and punishing every real mistake is your best chance. Bright light or anti illusion tactics would give you an advantage. You still have a few hours left before the evening. Would you like to visit a vendor, maybe to find light enhancing or illusion breaking gear? Rest and mentally prepare for tomorrow? Train specifically against deception and illusions? Do something else? What does Simon do next?
Simon will visit a vendor looking for an item that would looking for an item that would break any illusions the shade may use.
Arksteel Row, the last hunt for gear. Once again, Simon finds himself walking the bustling paths of Arksteel Row, but this time with sharper purpose. The magic lanterns overhead are already flickering into life as the sun lowers, casting long golden shadows across the cobblestones. You head toward the lesser-known stalls, the ones that don't advertise their full inventory. Eventually, you find a wizened old halfling woman sitting behind a stall of trinkets and artifacts. Her eyes gleam as you approach. Ah, another champion looking for something unfair. Good, you'll need it. You explain briefly that you're facing someone who uses illusions, darkness, deception. She smiles wider. Items available within Simon's budget 300 teen. Candle of True Sight, 200 Grimp, burns for 10 minutes. While within 30 feet of the candlelight, all illusions are automatically revealed as false. Invisibility is nullified within the light. Candle is one-time use, but powerful for a single decisive encounter. Sunfire Ring, 300 GP. Once per day, as a bonus action, emit a burst of bright light in a 30-foot radius for 1 minute. While active, disadvantage on stealth checks for enemies in the light. Illusions cast within the light require concentration saves from their casters or collapse. After 1 minute, the ring becomes inert until the next dawn. Lens of the Seeker, 250 Grog P, worn over one eye like a monocle. Once per short rest, activate to see through minor illusions, darkness, magical and mundane, and invisibility for 1 minute. Must be manually activated, bonus action. The halfling leans in. Everything here works, and everything here, one way or another, unfair. She winks. Options recap. Candle of True Sight. Area protection, limited time, strong but fragile. Sunfire Ring. Light plus illusion disruption, powerful and stylish. Lens of the Seeker. Precision, portable, reusable every short rest. You have 314 GP. You can afford any one of these. Which item does Simon purchase to prepare for facing the Shade of Nocturne? Or would you like to ask about anything else?
Simon will purchase the Candle of True Sight for 200 gold.
Candle of True Sight, acquired. The halfling grins a crooked smile and carefully pulls out a small black candle wrapped in silver wire. Its wick shimmers faintly, like it's already smoldering from a light you can't quite see. Treat it like a blade. Light it at the right time, and the shadows won't have anywhere to hide. You place 200 gold pieces into her outstretched hand. She tucks the gold away without counting. Good luck, Flameborn. Some illusions are born of magic, but the worst ones are born of fear. Don't flinch. Candle of True Sight, inventory added. Use light as an action. Burns for 10 minutes. Within 30 feet of the candle's light, all illusions are revealed. Invisible creatures are visible. One-time use. Remaining gold, 114 drunk P. As you pocket the candle, the last light of day bleeds out over Varelian's rooftops. Tomorrow, the semifinal match. Simon versus the Shade of Nocturne. You have your blade, your ember, your fire, and now, the truth on your side. Would Simon like to Return to the Rose and Raven Inn to rest? Prepare anything else for the match? Reflect on the upcoming fight, a quick mental scene? Or something else before the semifinals dawn? What's Simon's next move as night falls?
Candle of True Sight. Okay, what am I going to do now? I'm going to return and rest. Simon will return to the Rose and Raven for a meal and a long rest.
Return to the Rose and Raven quiet before the storm. The streets of Verilion are beginning to empty, the drunken songs giving way to a deeper, quieter kind of excitement. The semifinals loom over the city like a second sun about to rise. You push open the heavy wooden door of the Rose and Raven Inn. Warmth and the scent of roasted meats greet you. Marza, ever watchful, gives you a knowing nod and waves you to your usual table. Tonight's supper: slow roasted boar glazed with wild honey and cracked pepper, butter soaked turnips, and fresh rye bread. A small pitcher of dark red wine, rich and heavy. You eat slowly, letting the weariness of the day melt out of your bones. Every bite seems to anchor you deeper in the here and now, calm, clear, burning steady inside. The candle of true sight rests safely in your pouch, warm against your side. The fire of Valherin hums low in your blood, patient. Tomorrow, it will roar. Long rest begins, all HP restored, spell slots and features reset, Wand of the Unseen Step regains 3 charges, Candle of True Sight ready to use. Focus sharpened for tomorrow's fight. Dawn of the semifinals. The next morning, the sky over Verilion is a brilliant gray blue, alive with banners, cheers, and the distant clash of steel. A runner knocks on your door with a scroll, crisp and direct. To Simon of the Ember. You are summoned to Arena 1 at the first bell. Your match against the Shade of Nocturne shall commence immediately. What Simon can do before entering the arena: light the candle of true sight immediately before battle begins. Hold on to the candle and use it when the Shade tries something. Use the Wand of the Unseen Step, invisibility, again at the right moment. Plan another tactic for first engagement. Other ideas you have. You stand at the edge of greatness, Simon. How do you want to prepare for stepping into the semifinal arena?
First, let's give ourselves a long rest. Okay. Simon will put the wand of invisibility visibility. Ready to use and get the candle out of my pouch. Preparing to use it. Have the first sign of magic from the shade.
Ready for shadows, steel and flame poised, Simon moves through the morning with calm precision. The wand of the unseen step is slid into an easy to reach loop at your belt, hidden but ready to activate with a thought. The candle of true sight is drawn from your pouch, tucked carefully into your hand, unlit but poised to ignite at the first hint of magic from the shade. You don't need noise. You don't need speeches. You walk like a man already, chosen by the fire. Arena 1, semifinal match. The crowd today is even larger than for the quarterfinals. Nobles, mercenaries, children climbing statues, just to catch a glimpse of the champions. The sand of Arena 1 is marked with the scars of 100 battles, but none like the one about to begin. Across the arena stands the Shade of Nocturne, wrapped in deep violet leathers, black cloak whispering around them. A single longsword at their hip, sheathed in shadow. No visible expression behind their smooth, featureless mask. They move not with arrogance or rage, but with a quiet inevitability, like a blade already falling through the air. The judge, in his silver and blue livery, raises his hand. Combatants, present yourselves. The shade draws their sword halfway. The metal is black as pitch, drinking the very light around it, and bows slightly. You are expected to respond. How do you present yourself to the crowd and to the shade before the battle begins? Quick bow, salute, fiery gesture, defiance?
Someone will say in a low voice, Valheim, help me. Then he will bow to the shade.
The ember bows, flame and shadow acknowledge each other. The world narrows. The noise of the crowd fades to a distant thunder behind your ribs. You whisper low and steady, Valharan, help me. The ember inside your chest answers with a faint warmth. Not control, not command, just presence. You step forward, lower your scimitars, and bow cleanly toward the shade. A bow of respect, not to the shade themselves, but to the duel. To the truth that must now be drawn from shadow. The shade responds with a deeper, slower bow, arms slightly out, blade flat against their forearm. Not mockery. Recognition. The crowd falls eerily quiet. The judge lowers his hand. Begin on 3. 1, 2, begin. The shade moves instantly. They don't charge you. Instead, the air around them flickers, twisting, as two shadows peel free from their body, illusory doubles, stepping out into the arena. Each shade now circles you at different angles, 3 figures, moving smoothly, blades drawn. You can already tell. 2 are illusions. 1 is real. But which one? Situation. The shade has created mirror images, intended to confuse your attacks. None have struck yet. This is preparation for a lethal strike. You can light the candle of true sight now, as planned, or hold your action if you want to wait a moment longer. Simon's move: light the candle, attack, cast a spell, another tactic. What do you do?
Is it a bonus action to light the candle or a full action?
Good question. Lighting the candle of true sight is a full action, not a bonus action. Since it's treated like lighting a torch or similar object, it takes an action to strike, light, and set it properly so the magic activates. So, if Simon chooses to light the candle now, it would take your action for this turn, immediately reveal the real shade and make the illusions vanish or be exposed. Leave you with movement and bonus action available this turn. If you want, you could still move after lighting the candle or prepare to react with a bonus action like Second Wind or other abilities. Knowing that, would you like Simon to light the candle now or take another action first? You can also try to fight through the illusions or set up something sneaky.
Simon will light the candle to dispel the mirror image the shade has cast.
The truth revealed, no more shadows. You move quickly, keeping your scimitars low and your eyes sharp. With a flick of your wrist, you strike flint against the black candle's enchanted wick, and light flares to life. But it's not normal fire. The candle of true sight burns with a strange, silver blue flame, cold to look at, sharp enough to hurt the eyes. The light surges outward in a 30-foot radius, washing over the arena. Immediate effects: the two illusory shades flicker, distort, and vanish, revealed instantly for what they were: nothing but weak reflections of the real assassin. The true shade stands alone, blade drawn, visible, and real. A shudder goes through the crowd as they realize what's happened. Simon's trickery beats the assassin's tricks. The shade freezes for just a heartbeat. Then, they lower their center of gravity, blade dipping into a low ready stance. No more tricks, only steel now. Simon's status: action used, lighting the candle. Movement available if you wish to advance, circle, or reposition. Bonus action still available if you have anything you want to do, like prepping a spell or boosting yourself. The shade is about 20 feet away, facing you directly. The candle burns steadily on the ground between you, revealing all. How does Simon continue? Move into melee? Ready yourself for their next attack? Use a bonus action for something else first? Another tactic? The arena and the shade waits for your next move.
Okay, let's see what bonus actions I have. Two weapon fighting, second wind, opportunity attack. Simon will charge the shade with both his scimitars drawn. He closes to within 5 feet of the shade.
The charge, fire meets shadow. You sprint forward, scimitars gleaming under the silver blue light of the candle. The shade braces, lowering their blade to parry, but you're faster. Your boots tear across the arena sand. A straight, brutal charge. No hesitation. No fear. You close the gap, 5 feet away, just inside their guard. The crowd holds its breath, sensing the explosion about to happen. The shade's blade flickers like a snake ready to strike. But now they have no illusions to hide behind. Only you. Only the truth. Only flame. Hashterm. Make your attack rolls. Simon can now make 2 scimitar attacks, one for each hand. Roll natural 1d20 plus attack bonuses for each strike. No disadvantage or confusion, only straight attack rolls. Go ahead and roll for both attacks, and we'll see if you carve into the shade of Nocturne.
"13 and 21. Simon rolls a 13 and a 21 for his attacks.
Hacked steel finds flesh, the first blood drawn. Your first strike, the 13, slashes out wide, but the shade twists just barely aside, the black of their cloak ripping but no blood drawn. But the second strike, the 21, is deadly precise. Your second scimitar cuts low, slipping under their guard and carving a deep slash across the shade's side. You feel the blade bite into real flesh, not illusion, not shadow, but them. The shade stumbles back a half step, clearly shocked to have been hit so early. The crowd roars, stomping and shouting your name. The candle's cold light burns away all pretense. The shade is just a fighter now, just another soul trying to survive against the flame. Roll 1d6 plus your dexterity modifier for your successful scimitar hit. Tell me the total, and we'll see how much you hurt the shade and what they do next.
Simon only does 4 points of damage.
Ah. 4 points of slashing damage. The first cut burns. Your scimitar slices deep, drawing a line of red across the shade's dark leathers. It's not a mortal blow, but it's real. It proves that you can reach them, wound them, break the myth they wear like armor. The shade stumbles, the edge of their blade dipping toward the ground for just a heartbeat before snapping back into guard. First blood is yours. A whisper hisses from behind their mask. Whether it's admiration or hatred, you can't tell. Their form tightens, less flow now, more desperation bleeding into their precision. Situation update. The shade has taken 4 damage. Candle of True Sight continues burning brightly, making further illusions impossible while active. Simon is within 5 feet, in close melee range. Both fighters are fully engaged now, no hiding. The shade's turn. They strike back, fast, brutal. First attack roll, 19 to hit. Second attack roll, 11 to hit. Results. The first attack, 19, hits Simon. The second attack, 11, misses. You knock the blade aside with a quick scimitar flick. Damage from the shade. Rolling 7 points of slashing damage from the first strike. The shade's blade bites across your upper arm, but you stay on your feet, ready, burning steady. It's Simon's turn again. Candle still burning, revealing everything. Shade looks tense, wounded but dangerous. What does Simon do next? Attack again? Cast something? Try a bold tactic?
7 points of damage. Chill touch. Dancing lights. Firebolt, thaumaturgy, toll the dead. Simon will cast Toll the Dead on the shade.
The bell tolls for the shade. Simon steps back just half a pace, boots grinding into the arena sand. You raise your hand, and without a word, the magic wells up from the ember burning deep inside you. A low, hollow belt sounds, not from any tower, but from somewhere inside the shade's very soul. The sound is sharp, cold, inevitable. Toll the dead. The shade must make a wisdom saving throw, DC 15. Rolling. The shade rolls a 12. Failure. They fail to resist the pull of memory. The bell shakes their mind, tearing open old wounds made flesh. Because the shade has already taken damage, Toll the Dead deals 2d12 necrotic damage. Roll 2d12 and tell me the total. Let's see how much you break through the shade's defenses with the sound of memory and death.
2d12 for a total of 8 points of damage. Simon rolled an 8 for the damage.
Eight points of necrotic damage. The shade withers. The sound of the bell tears through the shade like a blade of pure memory. They stagger, just slightly, head tilting as if trying to shake something free. You see it. A falter in their perfect footwork. A hesitation in their sword arm. Your necrotic magic burns through the hidden wounds you carved earlier, widening the gaps in their strength. The candle's silver blue light flickers across them, and for a moment you see fear cross the shade's posture. Not fear of death, fear of being seen. The crowd is roaring now, wild and full of fury and awe. Simon stands, scimitars ready, the toll of Valherin still echoing in the blood of the arena. Current status, Shade of Nocturne is heavily wounded. still standing, but clearly weakened and less precise now. Candle of True Sight still active for a few more rounds. Simon is wounded, but burning with momentum. The Shade's turn. Weakened, the Shade shifts tactics. They step backward 10 feet, not fleeing, but looking for an opening, trying to bait you into a reckless charge. They ready themselves, blade low, inviting. You see it. They're trying to force you to come to them across open ground, likely preparing a counterattack. It's Simon's move. Do you charge in aggressively to press the attack? Hold your ground and force them to come to you? Cast a spell from range? Use an item or prepare a defensive action? What does Simon do next?
Does Simon get an attack of opportunity against the Shade moving back?
Excellent tactical thinking. Yes, you do get an attack of opportunity when the Shade moves out of your melee reach, because they stepped back 10 feet without taking the disengage action. Opportunity attack rules. It's a single melee weapon attack. It happens immediately when they leave your reach. You use your reaction to make the attack. No advantage or disadvantage, just a normal melee attack roll. So, right now, Simon can make one opportunity attack with a scimitar before the Shade gets to their new position. Go ahead and roll 1d20 plus attack bonuses for your opportunity attack. Let's see if you catch the Shade slipping.
Simon rolls a 19 for his opportunity of attack. Attack.
Opportunity seized. The blade bites again. As the Shade steps back, quick, graceful, careful, you're quicker. Your scimitar flashes like a drawn breath, and you strike cleanly, catching the Shade across the ribs with a sharp, brutal cut. There's no illusion to hide them now, no shadow to slip into, just steel and pain. The Shade staggers sideways, forced to abandon the perfect positioning they were trying to set up. Now roll damage. Roll 1d6 plus your dexterity modifier for the opportunity attack. Let's see how deep this wound cuts and how close the Shade is to falling.
Simon does 5 points of slashing damage.
Caught 5 points of slashing damage. The Shade falters. Your blade cuts deep, tearing through the Shade's leather and into the flesh beneath. For the first time, you hear a grunt from behind their mask, a raw human sound they can't hide. The Shade stumbles 2 steps to the side, barely regaining their footing. Their sword dips. Their guard shatters. The crowd screams, the energy cresting like a wave over the arena. You can see it in the way the Shade moves now. They're hurt, they're desperate, they're vulnerable. One more clean hit, and they'll fall. Situation update. Shade is within 10 feet of Simon after being interrupted by your attack. Candle of True Sight is still active, burning away illusions. Simon has full action, bonus action, and movement available for your next turn. Simon is poised to end this. What does Simon do now? Charge an attack, cast a final spell, taunt them before the killing blow.
Simon will say, in Balharan's name, stay down. He then will move 5 feet to get within melee range and attack the shade with both my scimitars.
The final charge, Fire commands Shadow. You advance, slow and deliberate, boots crunching against the sand, your blades low and hungry for the last strike. You speak, voice low but powerful, carried on the cold light of the candle. In Valharan's name, stay down. The shade stiffens, whether from fear, pride, or something deeper, you don't know. But they do not run. They stand and prepare to face you. A warrior's death, if you allow it. You close the last 5 feet, scimitars raised, and strike. Roll to hit. Roll 2 attack rolls, 1 for each scimitar. Normal attack rolls, no advantage or disadvantage. Add proficiency and dexterity modifier as usual. Let's see if Simon carves his place into legend. Go ahead and give me the 2 attack rolls.
First attack roll is a natural 1 for a total of 7. The second attack roll is a natural 20 for 26 on the second attack roll.
Fate's twin blades, 1 miss, 1 perfect strike. You move like a storm. The first scimitar slashes out too quickly, your footing slick with sand and blood, and misses wide, your blade slicing empty air. But the second scimitar, the one that carries your fire, your will, your prayer to Valharan, strikes perfectly. The blade hums through the cold air, catching the shade across the chest, piercing the final veil between the assassin and defeat. Natural 20, critical hit. Critical hits double the weapon's dice. So for your scimitar, roll saw 2d6 plus dexterity modifier for damage. This strike could end the shade completely. Roll your critical damage, and let's see how the story of the Shade of Nocturne closes.
Simon does 14 points of slashing damage.
Ah, 14 points of critical damage. The shade falls. Your blade cuts deep, far deeper than flesh. It carves through the Shade's chest plate, through leather and chain and bone, slicing the very breath from their body. The Shade stumbles once, twice. The black sword clatters from their hand into the sand. Their masked head tilts toward you, not in hatred, not in fear, but in acceptance. With a final shudder, the Shade falls to their knees, then crumples to the blood-stained arena floor. The silver blue light of the candle of true sight gleams over their fallen form. No more tricks, no more illusions, only truth remains. Victory, Simon of the Ember. The judge raises his hand high. By right of skill, fire, and honor, Simon of the Ember claims victory. Simon advances to the grand final. The arena explodes into cheers. Simon! 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 Your name echoes against the stones of Verilion, bouncing across rooftops and banners, shouted into the sky itself. The fire inside you surges, strong, steady, hungry for what comes next. The grand final. Rewards: earned 300 gold pieces for semifinal victory. Gained renown among the festival elite. Nobles, guilds, and champions now know your name. Finalists' writ awarded guarantees you a seat of honor and a place in Verelion's records. Simon's gold total: previous 114 Drang P, plus 300 Drang P, equals 414 Drang P total. Final status: wounded but victorious. Candle of true sight is still burning. A few minutes left. You now have time to heal, prepare, and ready yourself for the grand final match. Would you like to immediately move into a short post-match scene? Celebration, rest, planning for the final? Or pause and save the grand final for a full epic session later? Either way, Simon stands on the edge of legend.
Let's see, 414 total. $300. Add. I would like to move to a short post-match scene. Seeking information on my final fight.
Perfect. Let's give Simon a well-earned moment to breathe while the fire still smolders in his veins. Post-match, festival grounds, late afternoon. The sun is low and crimson over Verilion, throwing long shadows across the rooftops. The bells of the city ring, not for mourning, but for glory. You step out of Arena 1, blood and sweat still drying on your armor. The crowd parts before you, some with awe, some with fear, all with respect. Nobles murmur behind gloved hands. Bards scribble songs as fast as their quills can scratch parchment. A runner in dark red livery, a festival official, bows deeply and hands you a fresh scroll. Champion Simon, this is your summons and briefing for the grand final. Your final opponent has been chosen. He steps back, bowing again without meeting your eyes. You unroll the parchment. It reads, Grand Final Match, Festival of the Blades. Combatants: Simon of the Ember. Arena, Champion Circle. Enhanced Field, weather if active. Time, tomorrow at first bell. About Sir Albrecht the Stormblade. Through the whispers around you, you quickly gather. Sir Albrecht is a veteran champion. He has fought in and won 2 previous festivals. Wields a great sword infused with storm magic, lightning, thunder, and heavy concussive blows. Known for overwhelming force, not subtlety. Physically powerful, wearing half plate etched with storm runes. Relies on setting the pace early, hammering enemies into submission before they can adapt. Tactics. Charges early, forcing combatants onto the defensive. Uses storm magic to deafen, blind, or knock back foes before finishing them with brute strength. Weakest against agile fighters, who can outmaneuver his heavy swings and disrupt his momentum. One old sellsword near the market square, missing an ear and drinking deep from a battered mug, laughs when he hears you're facing Albrecht. Don't stand still, champion. Storms don't break you because they're strong. They break you because you stay in one place too long. Simon's current situation: 414 Drp total gold, full access to gear and magic, some time left tonight to buy, or prepare, or strategize before the grand final. Would you like to? Visit a vendor. Armor upgrades, potions, maybe something against lightning? Rest at the Rose and Raven, meet a trainer for a quick tactical session, do something else to prepare? Simon's final battle is almost here, and the fire is burning hotter than ever. What does Simon do next?
Simon will search for a vendor to find some kind of protection from storm magic, meaning thunder and lightning.
The hunt for Stormward gear. Arksteel Row, Twilight. You move through the thinning festival crowds, lanterns blooming like fireflies along Arksteel Row. Your boots find the faster paths, past drunken gamblers, hawkers of charms, and fortune tellers whispering lies. Tonight, Simon walks with a purpose. Find something to guard against the fury of the storm. You come upon a narrow, weather-beaten tent marked Targon's Aegises, shields against what should not be. Inside, a burly human man with arms covered in ritual scars looks up from a rune-scribed anvil. He sizes you up, smirks. I heard you burned the shade. Now you want to keep breathing when the storm comes, eh? You nod once. He gestures to a few items laid out across a rough-spun cloth. Stormward items available, within budget, 414 GP. Storm-touched bracer, 300 gram P, worn on the forearm, does not require attunement. Grants resistance to thunder damage for 1 battle per long rest. Can also use your reaction to halve lightning damage from 1 incoming attack or spell. 1-time effect per day. Cape of the Skybreaker, 400 GP, requires attunement. Grants advantage on saving throws against lightning and thunder effects. Once per day, can cast Shaft Feather Fall on yourself as a reaction if thrown or launched into the air. Amulet of Grounded Flesh, 250 gram P, worn around the neck. Attunement required. Grants resistance to lightning damage at all times. No resistance to thunder. The blacksmith leans on the anvil. If you want to dance under the storm, pick fast. He won't wait for you to pray once you're in his sights. Recap of options. Storm Touch Bracer, cheaper, one-shot thunder and lightning defense in a fight. Cape of the Skybreaker, best protection overall, grants advantage against both elements. Amulet of Grounded Flesh, passive lightning resistance all the time, but nothing versus thunder. Simon has 414 GP, you can afford any one of these. Which item does Simon purchase to prepare for facing Sir Albrecht the Stormblade? Or would you like to ask if the vendor has 1 or 2 secret items tucked away?
Do you have anything secret that would work in tandem with the with the cape of the Skybreaker.
The blacksmith's scarred mouth twitches upward into a sly grin. He glances around the empty tent, then lifts a heavy leather satchel from behind the anvil and drops it onto the table with a solid thunk. The flap peels back to reveal something he clearly wasn't advertising to the general public. Secret item Skybreaker's Knot. Skybreaker's Knot. 100 GP, only if you buy the cape of the Skybreaker. A tightly woven silver and sky blue cord worn around your upper arm. Only functions if worn while attuned to the cape of the Skybreaker. Passive effect. When you successfully resist a lightning or thunder effect, succeeding on a saving throw, you can choose to surge with retaliatory power, gaining +2 to your next attack roll, or extra 1d6 lightning damage on your next weapon strike. Only triggers once per long rest. Does not require additional attunement, it's a passive tie to the cape. The blacksmith lowers his voice. Made it for sky duelists up in Murkos once. They said surviving a storm ought to mean you strike back harder. He taps the knot once, and it hums faintly, with static. You want it? Buy the cape and the knot's yours for 100 more. Financial recap. Cape of the Skybreaker, 400 GP, Skybreaker's Knot, secret deal, 100 Grumpy, total 500 Grumpy. Simon currently has 414 Graxp. If you want both, you would be 86 GP short. But the blacksmith might be convinced to haggle a little, given your reputation. Options. Buy just the cape of the Skybreaker for 400 GP, affordable now. Try to haggle, persuasion check to get the knot thrown in at a discount. Buy something else or rethink your plan. What does Simon do?
Simon haggles with the what's he called again? Blacksmith. The blacksmith to try to get the knot thrown in at a discount, promising to tell everyone where I got my supplies.
Haggling in the forge light. You lean forward across the table, meeting the blacksmith's scarred gaze without blinking. You want your name whispered when the champion wins? Put the knot in with the cape. I'll make sure every fighter, noble and bard, knows it was Targun's steel that carried me through the storm. The blacksmith's grin fades, not anger, but calculation. He drums thick fingers against the anvil, considering. Finally, he chuckles, a deep rusted sound, and slams his fist down next to the gear. Done, Flameborn. But you better damn well win. I want songs about Targun's aegises sung from here to the Silver Marches. He offers his hand, heavy, calloused, and crackling faintly with static. Deal made. You purchase Cape of the Skybreaker, 400 GP. Skybreaker's Knot, discounted to 0 GP as part of the deal. Total cost, 4 ha. Remaining gold, 14. You now have Cape of the Skybreaker, requires attunement. Advantage on saving throws against lightning and thunder effects. Once per day, cast Feather Fall as a reaction if launched into the air. Skybreaker's Knot, no attunement required. Once per long rest, after successfully saving against lightning thunder, gain either +2 to your next attack roll or +1d6 bonus lightning damage on your next hit. Targon wraps the items carefully and hands them over with a proud slap to your shoulder. Go crack that storm's teeth, champion. Simon is now ready for the grand final. Would you like to head back to the Rose and Raven Inn to rest and attune to the Cape? Do anything else in the city before nightfall? Mentally prepare for tomorrow's final duel? You stand one fight away from becoming legend. What does Simon do next?
Total cost 400 gold. Manage inventory. Cape of the Skybreaker. Cape of the Skybreaker. Skybreaker's Knot. No attunement required. Okay. I think that's going to do it for now. Simon will head back to the Rose and Raven for the night and to attune to the Cape. That's it for episode 5. I'll be back later on to resume the game.
The Return to the Rose and Raven, end of episode 5. Simon makes his way through the shadowed streets of Varelion, the final banners fluttering under the cold stars. Every step feels heavier, but not from fear. It's the weight of the fire that refuses to be extinguished. You return to the Rose and Raven, nodding to Marza, who already has a hearty stew and dark bread waiting by the hearth. Tonight, you eat slowly. You wash the blood and dust from your skin. You lay the cape of Skybreaker across your shoulders and feel it hum with contained thunder, binding itself to your spirit. Simon is now attuned to the Cape of the Skybreaker. Advantage on saving throws against lightning and thunder effects. Once per day, can cast Featherfall as a reaction. If knocked or thrown into the air, Skybreaker's knot is also secured around your arm, ready to let your retaliation crackle with power when the storm tries to claim you. End of episode 5. Thorns and Memory. Simon stands on the brink. One fight remains. One storm to endure. One fire to unleash. Whenever you return, we will be ready to begin. Episode 6, the grand final, Fire Against the Storm. I'll be here when you're ready to continue. Champion. Rest well. The next battle will be the stuff of songs.
Okay. So that's going to do it for today. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe. It does good to subscribe because these one-off ChatGPT DMs, I don't know. I don't have a schedule for when I normally play them. It's just whenever I feel like it and I have time. So if you subscribe, you'll be able to know when I'm doing these games. But for now, that's going to do it for today. Talk to y'all later and should see everyone come Monday for another episode of Cursed Strahd Reloaded. Talk to y'all later. Bye.